The 40 Rules of Love by Elif Shafak is not just a story. It's a journey into love, faith, longing, freedom, and the search for something deeper than everyday life. The novel is built in 2 layers. One layer is modern, happening in our time, about an ordinary woman named Ella Rubinstein. The other is historical, taking us back to the 13th century, into the lives of Rumi and Shams of Tabriz, 2 legendary figures whose friendship and spiritual bond changed history. Ella Rubinstein is a 40-year-old woman living in Massachusetts. On the surface, her life looks fine. She has a comfortable home, a husband, and 3 children. She plays the role of the perfect wife and mother. But deep inside, Ella feels empty. Her marriage lacks passion. Her daily life feels dull, and she feels invisible. It's as though she is surviving rather than living. She doesn't even realize how much she has been craving love until one day, her life changes in the most unexpected way. Ella takes a job as a reader for a literary agency. Her task is to review manuscripts and write reports. The first book she is asked to review is called Sweet Blasphemy by a mysterious author named Aziz Zahara. The story is about the famous poet Rumi and his meeting with the wandering dervish Shams of Tabriz. At first, Ella thinks it's just another assignment, but as she reads, something stirs inside her. Aziz's writing pulls her in. She begins to feel as though the story is speaking directly to her soul. This is where the second layer of the book begins. Sweet Blasphemy tells us about Rumi, a respected scholar, preacher, and family man in Konya, Turkey, during the 13th century. He was well known for his wisdom and religious knowledge, admired by many. Yet, despite his reputation, there was something missing in his life. His heart yearned for a truth that went beyond rules and rituals. That's when Shams of Tabriz entered his life. Shams was no ordinary man. He was a wandering dervish, eccentric, intense, and fearless. He didn't care for social approval, money, or status. He sought only truth and divine love. People often misunderstood him, even feared him, because he challenged norms and traditions. But Shams carried within him a deep spiritual wisdom, the 40 Rules of Love, principles that guided his life and his bond with others. When Shams and Rumi met, it was like 2 flames joining into one. Their connection was immediate, powerful, and life-changing. For Rumi, Shams was not just a friend. He was a mirror, showing him the depths of his own soul. Through Shams, Rumi transformed from a learned scholar into a mystic poet, someone who saw God not in rituals, but in the beating heart of love. This transformation gave birth to the poetry of Rumi that still inspires millions today. But such a bond did not come without challenges. Their closeness sparked jealousy and gossip. Rumi's students and family felt threatened by Shams, who seemed to take their teacher away from them. Many could not understand the spiritual love between the 2 men. They judged it, twisted it, and conspired against it. Shams, who always lived on the margins of society, became a target of hatred. But despite this, he continued to teach his rules of love, one after another, through stories, through parables, and through the way he lived his life. Meanwhile, in the modern storyline, Ella becomes more and more drawn to Aziz, the author of Sweet Blasphemy. She begins exchanging emails with him, at first about the book, but soon the conversations become personal. Aziz is everything her husband is not: gentle, understanding, passionate, and deeply spiritual. Through their words, Ella starts to feel alive again. She discovers that she has been starving for connection and meaning. And slowly, she realizes that she is falling in love with a man she has never met in person. As Ella reads about Rumi and Shams, she begins to reflect on her own life. Just as Rumi's world was shaken by meeting Shams, Ella's world is shaken by Aziz. She starts to question the choices she made, the marriage she stayed in, the life she settled for. For the first time, she considers what it would mean to follow her heart, even if it breaks the rules she has always lived by. The novel weaves back and forth between the two stories, showing how the past and present mirror each other. The 40 rules of love, introduced by Shams in the historical story, echo into Ella's life, guiding her toward courage and transformation. These rules teach that true love is not about possession or control, but about surrender and freedom. They say that God is not confined to mosques, churches, or temples, but lives in every person and every moment. They remind us that suffering is part of growth, and that sometimes the path of love is painful, but it always leads to truth. In the story of Rumi and Shams, tragedy eventually strikes. The people who envied their bond could not tolerate Shams any longer. History suggests that Shams disappeared mysteriously, possibly murdered by those closest to Rumi. His physical presence vanished, but his spirit lived on in Rumi's poetry. It was Shams who unlocked the river of verses that flowed from Rumi's heart, verses that continue to inspire humanity centuries later. Back in the modern world, Ella faces her own turning point. Aziz reveals something heartbreaking to her. He is seriously ill, and he doesn't have much time left. This revelation shakes Ella to her core. She realizes that life is too short to be wasted on fear, routine, and empty security. She decides to break free from the cage she has been living in. She leaves her husband and her safe but loveless marriage, and she chooses love even if it is uncertain, even if it is brief. She chooses to live fully rather than merely exist. By the end of the novel, Ella's life is completely changed. Just like Rumi, she finds that true love, whether romantic, spiritual, or both, has the power to transform us in ways nothing else can. And just like Shams's rules, Aziz's words show her that love is the path to God, to truth, and to freedom. The beauty of the 40 Rules of Love is that it's not just a love story between two people. It's about love as a force that breaks walls, opens hearts, and connects us to the divine. Each of the 40 rules sprinkled through the book feels like a piece of timeless wisdom, reminding us that love is bigger than religion, bigger than fear, and bigger than death. It's a novel that teaches us that everyone has a Shams, and everyone has a Rumi inside them. Sometimes we are the seeker, sometimes we are the guide, but in the end, what matters is whether we allow love to change us.